Ratios are really close. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Toyota Sienna XSE hybrid with the all-wheel drive system. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with the Sienna. Check out their inventory on the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the Sienna hybrid, we have a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter four-cylinder that's paired to a CVT automatic transmission and a hybrid system as well. Fuel economy is 35 around town and then 36 on the highway, with power outputs being 245 horsepower combined. Let's go over the front end on the Sienna hybrid. So you can see the new hood for the Sienna. I think it's a really nice clean look. And then we've got these full LED lights here with a little LED accent light, which is integrated really nicely into the front. And since this is a hybrid, notice they have it like all covered there with the blue Toyota logo. I think it's another nice little touch. Massive black front grille here, which obviously is kind of like Toyota's new signature design. You've got parking sensors integrated into the grille. You've got the cool little venting there on the side with the fog light just down below. And yes, you've got the front lip here, which, I mean, it's a minivan, but like it makes it look so sporty, and I absolutely love it. Like the front end of this car, for like a minivan, it looks like cool, aggressive, and futuristic. Let's go around the side here. We've got two 35mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then they did kind of like your basic chrome design there with the wheels, and then you can see the little chrome hybrid logo right next to it. And then I love how they have the mud flaps with the minivan from the factory. Again, they have them in the rear as well. And then we've got the blacked out mirrors, which is kind of like another nice little accent piece. You can see a little chrome there on the door handles and then around the windows, so it kind of like all pulls it together and matches with the wheels. And then notice that it kind of has a little side skirt there, so again, like this minivan's got ground effects. Up in the back of the Sienna hybrid, so first off, we've got tons of storage space down here, and yes, you can fold the seats flat into there. There's actually this little chart right here that shows you all the different things you can do with the seats and how to do them, and it has everything nicely labeled. And then you guys will notice that this one seat is reclined, this one isn't. So yes, you do have reclining rear seats here, which I think is another nice little feature. So overall, really practical from the rear end from a storage perspective, but then also you can do a ton of cool stuff with these seats. Ooh! Now let's go over the rest of the rear of the Sienna. You can see that we've got these nice LED lights here in the back, which looks super futuristic. I love the overall styling on them. You got the blacked out Sienna logo with the Toyota logo that has the blue hue on it again, because this is a hybrid. And then you've got all of the like black accenting here at the bottom with the venting, and then you got the rest of your badging here. Little exhaust tip that kind of sticks out right there on the bottom portion, and then there are parking sensors here on the rear of the minivan as well. But other than that, again, I feel like the design here in the rear just looks really nice, really futuristic. It's definitely like a huge upgrade over the last generation Sienna. Let's actually pop into the rear here of the Sienna. First off, we've got these two-tone seats, which I actually love the styling on them. So you have this really cool texture here in the center portion, and I love how it instantly turns dark here on the bottom. Just kind of mix things up. And then you actually have like this orange stitching here on the side, which is another nice little touch. But let's actually pop in. So stepping in, you have to duck just a little bit, but once you're in, I mean, it's super spacious in here. I've got a good amount of headroom and legroom solid as well. 5'11" per normal, and then you just pull the little button right there, and then the door will automatically shut for you. Got a nice little grab handle right there. And then we do get some cup holders here for the rear, and then you notice that on the door you actually do get a sunshade for the rear passengers, and then you got little armrests here on the seats. But if you actually move these armrests up just like that, it actually makes getting into the rear really easy. So popping into the third row, it's actually really nice back here, especially like in the full recline mode. I mean, I've got a ton of legroom back here, and I mean, if I was sitting up all the way, I mean, I'm almost touching the top, but I still have like a little bit of room. And then there actually are some USBs down here, got some cup holders on top of that. And then yes, these seats right here, you can slide those seats backwards and forwards. That's why you've got these little tracks right here. But yeah, overall, the back of this is just, it's cool. Well, that's pretty cool. Go over the door panel here at the front. So you have this really cool two-tone design here. So you've got the white at the top, and then you've got the black here at the bottom. Again, more of that orange stitching all throughout. I really like the trim here. Got your regular window controls, your mirror adjustments, and then again, two-tone seats here at the front. So you got the cool design there with the black on the bottom portion. The bolsters are pretty soft. And then here are the adjustments on the side of the seat. You got your Sienna floor mats. You got the whole pedal layout set up, and then you've got the button for the gas release, and then you can turn off the power doors if you just want to basically have the hydraulic function. And then you've got the stability control here. This is for the lights. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we actually pop in. It's got a pretty interesting setup here with the steering wheel. We've got kind of like rougher touch leather here at the top. You got the orange stitching, got the perforated leather there on the side where you're actually going to grab, so get a little bit of a better grip. Cruise control over here. You've got a little collision assistance, your lane departure assistance, your mode and all that kind of stuff for the radio, volume controls, voice command controls on the other side. Then you have the controls for the center stack right there, and then you got the stock for the turn signal and the lights, and then on the other side you do have the stock for the windshield wipers, and I did like the random piano block trim there at the bottom, but that's the steering wheel on the Sienna XSE. Here's the center gauge cluster. It's a pretty interesting setup. So you got analog gauges on either side. One is for the hybrid system to kind of tell you like, hey, you're charging, you're in eco mode, you're using all the power, and then you get your speedometer on the other side. And then you do have this little screen here in the center which gives you different bits of information on the vehicle. I think it's pretty cool like how it shows with that on the hybrid system. And then you can see you got stuff like on the safety tech, everything. So again, pretty straightforward setup. Most modern vehicles have something like this in their center stack. And then the last thing is this does have drive modes. So you've got up for your little sport mode, and then you've got like your normal mode, and then you have your eco mode, and it just literally tells you which mode you're in. Pretty straightforward, and it gives you like a little animation there, but it doesn't change the gauges or anything like that. We've got the center infotainment system here, so if we pop it into reverse, the little backup camera is going to pop up. It's got the trajectory lines. They do not turn with the steering wheel. As for the rest of the infotainment system itself, this is pretty much just Toyota's like newer version of their infotainment system they've had out for a while. So response time with the buttons is really good. Response time with the screen is really good as well. And hopefully that, okay, good. No copyrights in today's video. But yeah, it's a really good, easy system to use. You can see you can control like the climate system from it. And this does come with the tri-zone climate. So you have the climate in the rear, which the rear passengers can control via that little, well, you guys actually can't see it, but there's a thing on the ceiling they can use to control it. Or you can control everything from this little infotainment system, which is pretty cool. But yeah, overall response time's good. And I feel like it looks like, relatively nice and modern. Now just down below, we've got our analog controls for the climate system, and then we've got heated seats here for the front passengers. And then just down below, we do have the shifter for that CVT automatic, but they do give you this cool little manual shift function, which is pretty neat. Got a little parking brake over here. This is for your auto hold. You've got your full EV mode if you've got enough charge, and then your drive modes, like you guys saw the different drive modes. And then yes, there are a couple of cup holders. We've got some Camry keys in this. Like if you buy this minivan, it comes, no, I'm just kidding. And then we've got another cup holder here. And if you press that little button, the center console pops open, which I think is pretty neat. So it's just that. And then this actually pulls up to reveal some more cup holders. So like you could have 4 things just right here in this little area. And then obviously you have the stuff on the door panel. So like drinks for days in the minivan. Oh, and if you guys are wondering, storage space in here is good. There's a couple USBs on this side of it. And so yeah, that's that whole area. Now we are going to travel over to the glove box, but I want you guys to see the dash. I really like the use of the stitching on the dash, and then kind of like the overall design language here. I think it's just pretty neat. And then I love this area. Like this is on the Sienna, so you have like a USB up here, but this whole like area, it's just pretty cool how they've kind of structured that. And then opening that up, it's a regular glove box. Nothing crazy happening with it, but you get more of like the soft touch and the orange stitching right there. But yeah, all of it like pulls together very nicely. Like whoever designed this did a good job. Top here we do have just a traditional sunroof. The controls for the sunroof are just right here in this little area. This is for the rear tailgate, and then you've got controls for the doors if you want to open those from the front. So again, pretty cool little setup. And then this one does just have a traditional mirror. Now that we're done going over the interior on this Sienna in the XSE trim with the hybrid system and the all-wheel drive system, let's get into the pricing. So this particular Sienna stickers for just under $43,000 before any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take the Sienna out and see how it drives. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here on this Sienna. So visibility over the hood, really solid. Minivans are always really good with visibility because their hoods are so short. And then here's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do come with blind spot monitoring. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear, which, I mean, for being such a long vehicle, the visibility is actually pretty decent. And that all being said, well, let's set off. We are initially setting off here in the Sienna Hybrid XSE all-wheel drive. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So with this hybrid system, it's gonna, switch between having the engine on or off depending on what your charge is like and depending on how hard you're pressing on the accelerator. And because of that, it's very quiet from an engine noise perspective. And then the tire noise is pretty much non-existent. There's a little bit, but it's very, very minimal. And the ride quality is exceptionally smooth. That's the one thing I really like about minivans, and why I understand, like, other than all the practicality you get with the storage space in the back and all that, but I understand why families go for minivans because it's such a comfortable vehicle. So like if you're doing road trips, long drives, all that kind of stuff, then it's just one of the best vehicles to do that, just because it's so smooth from a ride quality perspective. Just does a really, really good job. I don't know what is happening with these people. I mean, you guys, like, I tried to like keep a straight, like not talk about that at all, but like you guys saw, there's totally a car accident, and then there's that other guy right there that just stopped. I don't know what's happening, but maybe that'll help this video get more views because it'll be like a random accident in the middle of a car view. But anyways, the Sienna just does a really good job. You could literally almost, other than the fact that it might not have like the nicest interior materials, you could pretty much call it a luxury car. But on the material side of things, I wouldn't want this to have a crazy nice interior because, people that buy this usually have, that's the only reason why I buy a minivan, is because you have kids. And if it has a really nice interior, then you're gonna feel bad if they spill and stuff on it. But if the interior is just like this, where it's really easy to clean, then you're not gonna feel as bad when they spill stuff on the seats and everything. And then coming up here, we should be able to get our acceleration if we're lucky enough the light doesn't change. Yep, we are lucky enough for the first time ever with driving in this area. So I've got it in the manual mode. Ratios are really close. Yeah, so ratios are really, really close together with this. Like, they're extremely close together. It's kind of interesting with the manual mode, you're like just constantly having to shift. I'm just gonna slow down quite a bit here so that I could get like another acceleration in the sport mode, but in the automatic mode to see how the CVT feels in that. Yeah, it's better in automatic mode. It just puts it like it. I would have to say that this CVT is a little bit smarter than you from the shifting perspective. It's just a lot better in the automatic mode. It puts it right where it needs to be power wise, and then you're not gonna have to shift it a million times, right, because of how close the ratios are. So I would just keep it in automatic mode unless you're going downhill and you basically want to kind of like engine brake, then I would do the manual mode at that point. And let's actually get into summing things up with this Sienna all-wheel drive. So like I said, from an exterior perspective, I think it's a really good looking minivan. It's still a minivan, but it's a really good looking minivan. From an interior perspective, I like this interior. I think it's like nice looking enough, really comfortable. The seats are comfortable to sit in, but they're gonna be easier to clean. I think that's maybe why they did the black on the bottom of the seats, because if someone spills, they're probably gonna spill in the bottom portion of the seat. And so black is not gonna stain like white would. And then in terms of the acceleration, all that's really solid. And the thing about the Sienna, I've said this in my other Sienna review, is this is the only minivan you can get in all-wheel drive right now. Obviously Chrysler is going to be releasing the Pacifica with all-wheel drive soon, but I won't say who said this, but someone that I know that happens to work for Toyota said the funniest thing, because I asked him, I was like, how do you feel about Chrysler making an all-wheel drive minivan? It's going to compete with the Sienna. Is that going to dip in your sales? And his answer was very simply, his answer pretty much was just, it's just another thing to break on that car, which I thought was hilarious. That's going to sum things up on our video with this 2021 Toyota Sienna Hybrid XSE all-wheel drive. Really long name, lots of stuff happening. But a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with this minivan. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in that next video.